Welcome to the Rogers Public Library Wednesday Spectacular. The library players present a fairy tale puppet show.
Everybody knows the story of the three little pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I am the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al.
Nobody knows just how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way they are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think people were big and bad too. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. Way back in Once Upon a Time, our friend the wolf was making a birthday cake for his dear granny. He had a terrible sneezing cold and he had run out of sugar. So he walked down the street to ask his neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now this neighbor was a pig. He wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? Who in his right mind would build a house out of straw? So of course, the minute the wolf knocked on the door, it fell right in, and he didn't want to just walk into someone else's house, so he called,
Little pig! Little pig! Are you in?
No answer. He was just about to go home without a cup of sugar for his dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when his nose started to itch. He felt a sneeze coming on. Well, he huffed, and he snuffed.
Achoo!
And you know what? That whole straw house fell down. Right in the middle of this pile of straw was the first little pig, flat as a pancake. He had been home the whole time. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw, so the wolf ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. He was feeling a little better, but he still didn't have his cup of sugar, so he went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house out of sticks. The wolf rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. He called,
Mr. Pig! Mr. Pig! Are you home?
The pig yelled back,
Go away, wolf! You can't come in! I'm shaving the hairs of my chinny chin.
The wolf had grabbed the doorknob when he felt another sneeze coming on. He huffed, he snuffed, he tried to cover his mouth, but he sneezed a great big sneeze.
Chewing!
And you're not going to believe it. This guy's house fell down just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was the second little pig, flat as a pancake.
Wolf's honor!
Now you know food will spoil if you leave it out in the open, so the wolf did the only thing there was to do. He had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. He was getting awfully full, but his cold was feeling a little better, and he still didn't have that cup of sugar for his dear old granny's birthday cake, so the wolf went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family. He had built his house of bricks. The wolf knocked on the brick house. No answer.
Mr. Pig? Mr. Pig? Are you home?
And do you know what Mr. Pig answered?
Get out of here, wolf. Don't bother me.
Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack of sugar, and he wouldn't give the wolf even one little cup for his dear sweet old granny's birthday cake. That's not nice. The wolf was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when he felt his cold coming on. He huffed, he snuffed, and then the third little pig yelled,
And your old granny can sit on a pig.
What?
The wolf was usually a pretty calm fellow, but when he heard somebody talk about his dear, sweet old granny like that, he went a little crazy. When the cops drove up, he was trying to break down the pig's door. The whole time, the wolf was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the two pigs he had had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jazzed up the story with all that huff and puff and blow your house down stuff. And they made him the big bad wolf. That's it, the real story.
I was framed!
But maybe you could loan him a cup of sugar.
And now Jack and the Beanstalk. Somewhere in the 21st century, there lived a boy named Jack with his mother in a tiny cottage in which there was no furniture, furniture at all except one old wooden chair and a rickety table. Jack and his mother had to sleep on the floor next to their prized 8-track player and their black and white TV. They were so very, very poor and so very behind the times. One day at breakfast,
Ouch! This chair has splinters.
Quit complaining. Stand up and eat your toast.
This isn't toast, it's an old sack.
It's got butter on it, don't it?
This butter tastes like old mayonnaise.
Oh, bother. All you do is complain. When I was a young'un, we had to eat bark off a tree.
once their life was good, but that was long ago. Since times had turned tough, the farm had gone to pot. Jack was not yet big enough to dig and to plow and to attend to the fields, and there was no one else to do it. Jack's mother took care of the villagers when they were sick, but nobody had any money to pay her, so they often received gifts, some useful and some not so much.
I took care of Mrs. Spencer down the hill last month when she had worms in her belly. But all she was able to give me was a case of New Coke from 1985. It tastes worse than Pepsi. It's no longer fizzy, and that makes me sad.
Indeed, Jack's mother was very miserable. She knew that in order for her family to survive, they would have to make some sacrifices. Mother told Jack that he must take their cow, Miss Lulu, all they had left, and sell her.
No.
But Mother, Lulu is my friend.
No. You know what makes even better friends? Rocks. Rocks are good listeners and will always be there for you, and they don't cost a thing.
I already had a rock, remember? You gave it to me for Christmas, wrapped in an iPad box. I dropped it in the bathtub and it quit working.
That's what you get for taking baths. In my day, we took a bath once a week, usually on Saturday night after the Love Boat.
What's the love boat?
Oh, you poor dear. Anywho, it serves you right, always wanting fancy stuff. Tablets, phones, FaceTiming. When I was your age, if I wanted to talk to anyone, I climbed that hill yonder and lit a fire.
Yes, and an Aragorn and Legolas rode to Gondor.
What's that, dear?
Oh, nothing. I'll go to town. Come on, girl.
Jack was very sad to have to sell Lulu, but he was a good kid who wanted to help his mother, so he set off. He had not gone very far when he met a man to whom he told his tale.
I think that's the saddest story I've ever heard. Why don't you just get a job at McDonald's or something?
Because Mother won't let me. We're bird-terrarians.
Should I know what that is?
Oh, we only eat food that birds drop from their mouths.
I was wrong about the cow story. The birdarian story is the saddest I've ever heard. I'll gladly buy your cow, but I don't have any money. Will you take these magic beans?
Magic beans? You gotta be kidding me. My mom will totally freak out if I come home with beans.
Your mom will freak out, but she won't be mad. These beans bring good luck to whoever owns them.
Well, where'd you get them?
Okay, I didn't see a bird drop them, but that doesn't mean that didn't happen, right?
Oh, all right. But I just know I'm gonna get in trouble when I get home.
Jack took off his hat, and the man filled it with beans, saying that they would grow into an amazing plant and would help him make his fortune. Jack ran home to his mother, and when he explained about the beans,
Are you kidding me? I'm totally freaking out. Magic beans indeed. What's the matter with you? Did a bird drop these? Or were they murdered? Too much television, that's what.
Ah, come on, Mom. We don't even have cable. All we watch are ALF reruns.
Max Wright was a comedic genius.
We can at least plant these beans and see what happens.
I'll tell you what's going to happen, young man. You are going to your room without any supper. And I'm going to toss these beans into the yard.
now, don't get to feeling too bad about Jack. He was always getting into trouble one way or another, and he had a stash of candy in his room from last Halloween. He threw a thick blanket on the floor, grabbed some goobers, and sat down. The next morning, he looked out his window and saw a towering beanstalk, so colossal indeed that the top was somewhere right up in the clouds.
Mom, come quick! Come here! Look what these beans made! They really are magical!
I don't believe it.
It must have a top, and I mean to find it.
He began climbing up the beanstalk and climbed, and at last he reached the top, where he saw a beautiful fairy who showed him a big castle at some little distance.
Wow! A real castle! I've never seen one before. Can I go there?
That's where your future lies. And I must warn you, a nasty old giant lives there, and his favorite meal is roast boy.
Ew!
I know, right? Anywho, if you do go there, speak to the Mouse Prince. He'll tell you what you need to know. Just behave yourself and be patient. Giants are loud and mean, but they also take lots of naps.
Thank you so much!
He traveled on to the castle. The door must have been 200 feet tall. Jack had to stand on tiptoe just to reach the mouse hole. Although the brass door knocker was very heavy, he managed it at last. And then he saw a face looking out of a window. Jack at first thought it must be the Mouse Prince, but it was only a silly chicken.
Who you calling silly?
The Mouse Prince popped up at the door. He welcomed Jack and took him to the kitchen where the giant's wife was making dinner.
Your Highness, what a nice surprise.
This is Jack. There's this beanstalk over there, and his mom and him have fallen on hard times. He needs some help.
I see. Please, Jack, sit down. You look hungry, and I was just getting the pizza out of the oven.
Pizza? I've never had that before. It smells good.
It sure beats the heck out of stone soup, I'll tell ya.
Jack was enjoying it very much when the giant's wife looked dreadfully frightened, said,
Oh dear, here comes my husband. What shall I do? If he sees you, he will have you roasted.
Jack was rather nervous at this, so he hid under the table. Then there was a terrible knocking and stamping, and in came the giant.
Big five, fo fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread.
The giant's voice sounded like the wind among the trees on a very stormy day, or like lions at feeding time. He sat down to the table, and he ate a great deal and drank a great deal. Then he lay back in his chair and went to sleep.
Now's my time.
He climbed out from under the table and crept up to the giant. He seized a bag of gold and ran to the window, jumped out, climbed down the beanstalk, and reached home.
Oh, my dear Jack, I was so worried sick.
I'm better than all right, Mother. The giant's wife told me that in addition to these gold coins, her husband also has a hen that lays golden eggs. If we had that hen, we should never be poor again.
Oh dear, I do not think you should try your luck a second time.
Don't worry, Mother.
So the next day, he climbed up to the beanstalk and went to the castle. This time, no one was at home, so he took the hen and got back safely. And once more Jack went to the castle, this time to fetch a lovely golden harp, which sang beautiful songs. He got into the castle all right and took the harp while the giant was having his afternoon sleep. But the harp began to call out in a very loud voice.
Master! Master! Wake! Wake!
And the giant did wake up, and he rushed after Jack. Jack came to the beanstalk and clambered down as quickly as he could. And he got to the bottom. As he got to the bottom, he felt the stalk swaying terribly, and looking up, he saw that big, fierce giant coming after him. Jack, here! Take the hatchet! Hurry!
Yes, Jack, take the hatchet. Hurry!
Jack gave the beanstalk one mighty whack with the axe, and it came tumbling down, and the giant too, and he fell on his head and was dead as one stone. as a stone.
Oh, my boy, you are so brave. You have saved us.
The end.
And now Hansel and Gretel and the Big Woods. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, there lived a brother and a sister named Hansel and Gretel.
I'm Hansel. I'm Gretel. We're Hansel and Gretel.
Yes, just as I said, they lived in a cottage in the woods with...
I'm Hansel. I'm Gretel. We're Hansel and Gretel.
Enough! They lived in a cottage in the woods with their father, who loved them very much, and their stepmother, who had her sanity to consider.
Husband, your children are driving me crazy. I'm Hansel. I'm Gretel. Take them into the woods and leave them.
But they'll go hungry.
Don't worry. A nice witch will feed them gingerbread.
Oh, they like gingerbread. Okay, come on, kids.
So the stereotypically clueless father took Hansel and Gretel far, far away and left them. However, he made one mistake. Instead of taking them out into the woods,
Why did Daddy leave us in the weeds?
Ow, it's all stickery.
Hansel and Gretel stood around in the prickly, stickly weeds waiting for their father.
Ow! 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 Ow!
Finally, Gretel realized he was not coming back, so they walked home and jumped on the couch and got stickers all over it.
I'm Hansel, 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 Hansel. I'm Gretel, Gretel, Gretel. We're Hansel, Hansel, Hansel. And Gretel, Gretel, Gretel.
Their stepmother heard the noise and came out to see.
Oh, they're back. Husband,
Yes, Dee.
take these noisy children over the hill and deep into the forest and leave them.
But they'll get hungry.
Don't worry. 7 little dwarves will feed them.
Oh, they like that. Okay, come on, kids.
So their father took them over the hill and through twisted, scary trees, past the dens of hideous, smelly, unsupervised creatures who watched them as they passed, to a clearing. Their father patted them on the head and gave them some words of wisdom.
Say hello to Sneezy for me. Bye, kids.
Their father headed home, wishing he was going to meet the dwarves. Hansel and Gretel stood around as the forest got darker and darker.
I'm Hansel.
I'm Gretel.
Night fell. It was cold and dark. The moon came out. The children had to sleep on the ground. The owl hooted. The wolf howled. Finally, it was morning. Gretel shook Hansel awake.
Hansel, it's morning.
I'm hungry. What's for breakfast?
Oh, you are. I mean, you are delicious. I mean, you, darling children, are having breakfast with me.
Hansel and Gretel introduced themselves.
Hi, I'm Hansel.
I'm Gretel.
We're Hansel and Gretel.
And I am a nice old lady. My house is over here through these trees.
I'm Hansel.
I'm Gretel.
We're Hansel and Gretel.
Enough. Walk this way.
The nice old lady was really a wicked witch who liked to eat children. She took them into her house. Gretel looked around.
I thought you would have a gingerbread house.
Oh, the property taxes on that thing were killing me.
Hansel was getting hungrier, so he asked again.
What's for breakfast?
Something delicious, but first you must wash up.
The witch invited them to hop into a big pot of hot water. She said,
Scrub-a-dub-dub into the tub.
Why is there a carrot and an onion?
Floating in the bathtub.
Oh, those are bath toys.
So Hansel and Gretel, who never were the brightest candles on the cake, hopped into the pot. The witch added some salt and spices.
Just some bath salts, dear, savory. I mean succulent. Tasty. No, I mean juicy. No, what's the word? Oh yes, dear, sweet children.
There was a knock at the door.
Who's there?
Little Mouse is the name and food is my game. You got any cheese?
Oh, a mouse tart sounds yummy. Come on in.
Thank you, kind lady. I haven't had a good meal since Cinderella married the prince and moved away. Ooh, I do have the largest pantry I've ever seen.
Mouse scurried to the pantry, but what he found was not exactly appetizing.
Spider legs, frog tongues, monkey ears, rabbit teeth, hissing cockroaches, sugarless candy corn. Sugarless candy corn? That's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard of. What kind of cruel monster would invent sugarless candy corn? Blech.
But then Little Mouse's nose found a pleasant scent. He followed the aroma until he found...
Something smells lovely. Ooh, a big pot of soup. Children's soup. Yuck, yuck. You kids get out of that soup pot. That witch wants to cook you and eat you.
But the witch flapped her arms and yelled.
Don't you dare destroy my soup!
Little Mouse was very brave.
You let them go, you mean old witch.
I'll turn you all into guinea pigs.
Oh, guinea pigs are so cute. I know.
A guinea pig? Yum!
Oh, no! Eek! Gretel, call on your fairy godmother. Calling fairy godmother!
In a blinding flash of light, there appeared...
Wolf!
Who are you?
Gretel's fairy godmother.
No, Gretel, call on your fairy godmother. Calling fairy godmother.
And with another blinding flash of light...
Ribbit,
Who are you?
Gretel's fairy frog mother.
No, Gretel, call on your fairy godmother.
It looks like there will be no happy ending to this story.
Well, this is a pretty mess.
You said it, Wonderworts. I guess it's up to us.
Right you are, Magical Mutt. Do you know what to do?
Sure.
The fairy dog mother cast a spell on the wicked witch, giving her fleas and allergies.
Fleasy, sneezy, allergies.
Ha 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 ha! Dog magic! Oh, I'm so afraid! Ha ha ha! Oh, itchy! Achoo!
Gross germs. Cover your nose and mouth next time.
The fairy frog mother hopped over to the pot and said these magic words.
Hoppus, floppus, stoppus.
Hansel and Gretel and the guinea pig hopped out of the pot. The wicked witch ran off to jump in the river to drown her fleas.
It's so itchy!
I'm Hansel. Hi, I'm Gretel. We're Hansel and Gretel. Enough!
Little Mouse showed Hansel and Gretel the way home.
I'm Hansel. I'm Gretel. We're Hansel and Gretel.
Little Mouse couldn't get rid of Hansel and Gretel fast enough.
Okay, here's your house. Goodbye. Oh, what an ordeal. I thought they would never stop gacking. My ears are killing me.
When Hansel and Gretel's father came to the door, he was very happy to see them and very sorry he had left them in the forest. He called to his wife.
Honey, the kids are home.
Oh no.
Remember us? I'm Hansel. I'm Gretel. We're Hansel and Gretel. Enough! Stop saying the same crazy thing over and over. You're driving us all crazy. Okay, Daddy. Would you like to talk about biology instead? Or architecture?
Oh, I love biology and architecture. Let's go down to the pond and catch frogs and build fairy houses.
And then a magical thing happened. When the yammering stopped, their stepmother suddenly turned into a loving, caring person. And they all lived
Happily ever after.